Welcome to the Beyond Barriers podcast. If you're an ambitious woman who wants to advance in leadership, then this podcast is for you. This podcast is co-hosted by Nikki Barua, digital innovator, serial entrepreneur, author, and speaker, and Monica Marquez, senior corporate leader, ex-Googler, and diversity expert. From inspiring stories to cutting-edge strategies, you'll learn how to develop the skill set, mindset, and tool set to get future-ready fast and accelerate your success.
Welcome to the Habits and Hacks Show. I'm Nikki.
And I'm Monica.
And today we're going to talk about entrepreneurship and why diversity matters so much in entrepreneurship and what some of the inherent challenges are that diverse entrepreneurs face and what we can do about that. So with that, let's just dive in. And as diverse founders ourselves, we've got some exciting news to share about our own successes and growth at Beyond Barriers, but also a very recent recognition for our co-founder and Chief Innovation Officer, Monica Marquez, who just yesterday was awarded Latina Entrepreneur by ALPFA. So Monica, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
So how does that feel? First time entrepreneur and winning the Latina Entrepreneur Award.
You know, it's very surreal. I have to say it's absolutely an honor and it's humbling, but I also know that, I couldn't do it by myself. It's individuals like yourself and our team and Cheryl and others that kind of prop me up that really have helped, me get this award and get the recognition. And yes, it's well deserved, but at the same time, I know that there are many other Latina entrepreneurs out there who are busting their butt, driving their mission and trying to build their company that are as equally as deserving as I am. And in a way, very proud. And in another way of like, wow, yes, I know I've been working hard these last 18 months or so, but it's like almost like great recognition, but at the same time, there's so much more work that is, it's like, oh, I haven't even scratched the surface. I have so much more work to do.
That's true. Well, huge difference in your journey in your corporate career,
yes,
and now as an entrepreneur. So let's, go into that a little bit, because for you, after a 20 plus year elite executive career in the world's biggest companies, you made this radical shift and, jumped into entrepreneurship. What's the biggest thing that you found has been different? How's your life changed?
Wow. So, I've been very fortunate and was able to spend a lot of time, learn and grow at organizations, big named organizations like Goldman Sachs, Google, Ernst & Young, and learned from, some of the best people and really developed a really strong work ethic. And in my mind, had this sense of urgency and always, pushing, being a bias towards action, right? Mm-hmm. And so I thought, oh, okay, I can do this entrepreneurial thing. I know it's hard work, but I would say that the definition of urgency for an entrepreneur is 100 times fold than what it is for working in a big organization. And you realize sometimes, that these companies that you're in can be so big that yes, there's a level of urgency, but the urgency isn't tied to life or death or your livelihood, right? And so that adds a compounding factor to that urgency of, yes, there's urgency in getting things done and, not necessarily having all the time in the world to make it perfect. And you're learning to iterate and innovate. And so from a recovering perfectionist, that was really hard to do because I was wanting to make sure that the products or the things or whatever it is that we were doing for clients and our customer, that they were absolutely perfect. And I was learning how to, okay, just roll out version 1.0, now 2.0, and you continue to iterate, opposed to trying to make sure it was fully baked. So I think urgency was the biggest thing that I'm like, oh, I thought I knew what urgency was, but it was very, very different as an entrepreneur.
That's right. I mean, it's a whole different level because it's really a race of time and money.
Yes.
A defined survival for startups, because if you take too long, you don't have the resources to really navigate until you hit that level of scale and stability, that big companies have.
Right.
So, having learned that lesson, and also achieved this recognition and winning this award, what do you think is important for diverse entrepreneurs to keep in mind, and what guidance would you give? And why do you think diversity really even matters in entrepreneurship?
At the end of the day, I feel like, diversity matters across all, gamuts of business. And really, when you're working with organizations and big organizations that tend to be white, male, cisgender, and you are working towards a strategy and a vision that this company has, they do start, and most companies now are starting to embrace that diversity of thought and realizing that, in order to create a product for consumers, it has to reflect and be usable for all consumers in the world. I think the advantage that diverse entrepreneurs have is that you do have that insight sometimes of what is a pain point that your community or that your constituency group is dealing with that you can help solve because you have this unique perspective. And so sometimes there's a fear of but I'm a minority. I'm from a marginalized group. How could I do this? But you have to remember, you have a superpower. You have this insight that most companies may not have, that they're not tapping into, and it could give you the advantage or the edge. And yes, it's easier said than done, but you should always remember that you have this in your back pocket and you could come up with something unique, different, that differentiates you, that'll help you put a stake in the ground.
Exactly. And I think that's where I couldn't agree more. I mean, there is so much insight and direct firsthand lived experience that diverse founders can bring to the table that represents massive and perpetually growing market opportunities. So it may seem like it's not the norm, but that's because those solutions don't exist yet, which is the perfect reason for you to launch your own business as well. Yes. And we are seeing that trend because, even over the past 10 years, there are 34% more Latino-owned businesses as compared to 1% of general businesses. So certainly there's been a growth of diverse founders and even more so of Latino founders. Yet, which is great news, but yet on the other hand, we see this other metric of how few of those businesses really scale up. What do you think gets in the way of, being able to start a company, but struggling to scale it up?
I think part of it is you don't know what you don't know. And I've learned that even, with the 25 plus year career in corporate and being a DEI expert, and our company is, really focused and leverages my expertise a lot. But I had subject matter level expertise from that perspective, but running a business is completely different. And I will be the first one to say that I don't think I would be successful. I don't think I'd be receiving this Latina Entrepreneur Award if it hadn't been for me partnering with experts like yourself who know how to run a business, know the kind of ups and downs, and help coach and prepare me for, hey, this isn't going to be easy peasy. And I think that's the one thing of being curious. And one, don't be afraid to follow your dream and go do it. Know that there's going to be hard work, but then leverage your network and find the resources and learn from the people who have done it before. So the best thing to do is seek out who's done it, who's been successful in running a business, and how can I learn from them? And how can, I reach out and surround myself by people who are a couple of steps ahead of me so that they can help me navigate. And I think that's what happens is, unfortunately, because there are fewer of, us diverse entrepreneurial or co-founders and founders, that, we sometimes fall into the trap of there's so few of us and it's hard for me to find that person. Well, then go find any entrepreneur who's been successful and tap into their expertise and get them to help you navigate. Because if we are trying to find a needle in a haystack, that's going to be really hard to do. Instead, pull any straw out of this haystack that's been successful, whether it's someone who looks like you or doesn't look like you, and get that advice. And I think that's what happens is that we, one, fear and self-doubt, and we almost opt out too early ourselves. And then really at the end of the day, not knowing who to get that guidance from. And there are so many successful entrepreneurs out there. And even if they don't look like you, they could teach you how to navigate and be more successful.
What if you could pinpoint the invisible ceilings limiting your success? Imagine having clarity on your strengths and barriers so you can take action and gain unstoppable momentum to advance as a future-ready leader. Well, that's exactly what the Beyond Barriers quiz will help you discover. You'll get your personalized score based on the 25 essential elements proven to accelerate success in the digital age, so you can understand what's holding you back and where to focus your efforts. The Beyond Barriers quiz is completely free and takes just a few minutes. Go to iambeyondbarriers.com/quiz and take the quiz today.
Yeah, that's why success is such a correlation to who you know, not about what you know.
Exactly.
And I think sometimes cultural aspects get in the way of that because of culturally we've been conditioned to do it ourselves, keep your head down and work hard, don't ask for help because it may seem like you don't know what you're doing. It prevents us from building and accessing and tapping into those powerful professional networks that can open doors, provide us access to mentorship, access to capital, access to the right resources and relationships that can help us grow. We don't often think of doing that. And I know personally, I went through that myself, that it was a huge learning curve for me over more than a decade of being an entrepreneur, learning how to ask for help, how to, continuously nurture my network and learn from those that were ahead of me that had built bigger businesses.
Yeah.
Access to capital is a continuing challenge.
Mm-hmm.
There's twofold challenge in that. One, diverse founders don't often get access to capital. And the flip side of it is also we often don't ask for it either. What advice would you give to a diverse founder, in terms of thinking about scale and access to capital?
I think the first thing I would say is don't be afraid of it. Part of it is, again, that uncertainty of not knowing how you're going to get it or how you're going to do it, is part of the thing that holds us back. The other that can create more fear and self-doubt is the more research you do about trying to get access to capital and who gets funded and all of these. And then you see the disparaging the statistics of how many, minority entrepreneurs and others get money, and it's single digit percentages. That can be discouraging in and of itself. And I say instead, flip your mindset and say, okay, this is going to become my superpower. And then you go to these companies or to these VCs and you say, listen, it's already been noted, social media, people are educating themselves. The word is out there that you all are not investing diversely. And I'm your ticket. I'm the person who's going to help you, skew those numbers in the other direction, and using it as a superpower, saying like, listen, I can help change those numbers. Mm-hmm. Invest in me. I can, and put your best foot forward. So I see it as one of these things of, okay, yes, it could be scary and saying, oh my God, only 1 or 2% get VC capital. That means 98% chance we're going to fail and not get it. And I'm like, well, no, flip it on its head and go tell those leaders or the people with the holding the purse strings of saying, hey, your numbers are atrocious. I can help you fix it. Here is my idea. Believe in me, and I will, help you, put this money to good use. So I'd say flip that. It's all about mindset because it can be very fearful. And at the end of the day, if you truly believe in what you are creating with your organization, your mission, your product, whatever it may be, just get behind it. And there will be somebody who believes in you and who will invest in you. And then at that point, you've got to keep your word and really deliver for those individuals. And so I think flipping the mindset, not letting that uncertainty scare you away from that. And then once you are given the opportunity, then, know that we have to knock it out of the park so that we open the doors for other, diverse individuals so that they too can have the opportunity and get the funding.
That's great advice. Thank you for sharing that, Monica. And so there you have it. If you are a diverse founder and you have a dream, follow that dream, keep dreaming bigger, and know that there is opportunity available. You just have to break through a lot of barriers, but if not you, then who?
Exactly.
See you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Beyond Barriers podcast. There are thousands of podcasts out there, and we are so grateful that you've chosen to listen to ours. If you enjoyed the show, please leave us a rating and tell a friend about it. And subscribe to get new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Visit IamBeyondBarriers.com, where you'll find show notes, links, and the best way to connect with our guests. See you next episode.